Hello and welcome to another analysis behind the news. Wow, what a difference 4 years makes. Let me read to you some headlines from the New American from 2013 and 2014. UN investigator claims evidence Syrian rebels used sarin gas. That's May 2013. U.S. military document, Syrian rebels had chemical weapons. That's from September 2013. MIT report, Obama used bogus intelligence to push Syria war. That's January 2014. And back then, what do you think Trump's Twitter response was? First is, we should stay the hell out of Syria. The rebels are just as bad as the current regime. What will we get for our lives and billions of dollars? Zero. He followed it up a couple months later with, what will we get for bombing Syria besides more debt and a possible long-term conflict? Obama needs congressional approval. And yet, the Daily Caller points out that the non-interventionism Trump preached during the presidential campaign was an essential component to the rough ideological framework that is Trumpism. However, he won the Republican primary and presidential race with a distinct message of putting America first in foreign policy, immigration, and trade. In foreign policy, that meant eschewing the nation-building and liberal interventionism of the past two presidential administrations and focusing primarily on the threat of radical Islam. America's interest would be the sole determining factor in how the nation acted in the world. But the Syria strike was a textbook case of liberal interventionism and served as a boost to Islamic extremists fighting the Assad regime. There is no real American interest served by the strike outside of reinforcing the image of the U.S. as the world's policeman, a role Trump openly criticized on the campaign trail. So what are we to make of this? Did Trump change his mind? Was it changed for him from the neoconservative influence that has surrounded him? Or is the real Trump coming out? And what else will he change his mind about? Of all the good that he has done and projects to be doing, it will be overshadowed by his foreign policy. For how will America first be accomplished if we continue to be involved in unaccountable and undeclared wars that do nothing but fuel the fire that is ablaze in the Middle East and is about to jump to the Korean Peninsula? Accuracy in Media reports that the Obama apologetic mainstream media is tripping over itself trying to explain why Sarin was in Syria when a 2014 U.S. and Russian agreement concluded that there was to be a complete elimination of all chemical weapons material and equipment. According to Accuracy in Media again, NBC News on August 18, 2014, highlighted John Kerry's statement that the United States has finished eliminating Syrian President Bashar Assad's declared chemical weapons arsenal aboard the U.S. cargo vessel MV Cape Ray in international waters. So, if these were all destroyed under Obama's watch, then where did they come from? For the answer, let's head back to the New American articles that we mentioned at the beginning of the video. Alex Newman reported on January 20, 2014, Congress and a public uproar eventually slammed the brakes on overt intervention in Syria by U.S. armed forces. But the experts behind the latest study say the implications surrounding the use of bogus intelligence to start wars are massive. Based on the latest findings of two prominent experts, again back in 2014, which appear to confirm other reports and investigations, it would have been impossible for the Assad dictatorship to have perpetrated the chemical attack outside Damascus as outlined by Obama and other Western officials. Instead, it seems that the more likely culprits of the attack were foreign-backed rebel groups hoping to overthrow the relatively secular regime and install an Islamist dictatorship based on Sharia law. Estimates suggest almost 1,500 people died in the attack, including more than 400 children. And who are these rebel groups? Again, Alex Newman offers an answer from a September 20th, 2013 article at the New American. He writes, after the attack, meanwhile, the Syrian government blamed foreign-backed al-Qaeda rebels and promptly demanded an international investigation to determine the facts. Rebel forces and the Obama administration, however, claimed the evidence implicating Assad was undeniable while suggesting that further probes were not needed. No proof was ever supplied by those accusing Assad, but the dictatorship at least claimed to be providing proof that the rebels were responsible to the UN and foreign governments. So if al-Qaeda rebels had it then, which was a crudely created type of kitchen gas, why would we think that they wouldn't have it now? Alex follows up on all of this with 2 online articles from last Friday. He wrote, "Regime change appears to be the goal, at least of certain globalists in key positions within the administration." When asked whether the Trump administration was planning to bring together a coalition to remove Assad from power, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that steps were already underway to do that. Assad's role in the future is uncertain clearly, and with the acts that he has taken, it would seem that there would be no role for him to govern the Syrian people, Tillerson said at a Florida news conference, claiming the supposed intelligence leaves no doubt that Assad, who denied any role, was behind the chemical attack. And he continues, "Just last month, before the war drums were beating as loudly as this week, another top Kremlin official made a similar argument. Saddam Hussein hanged. Is Iraq a better place, a safer place?" asked Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who asked rhetorically at the UN headquarters in New York in March. "Gaddafi murdered, in front of viewers. Is Libya a better place? Now we are demonizing Assad. Can we try to draw lessons? Indeed, if Assad does end up being removed from power, it is not clear who or what may replace him. But more than a few analysts have said, it would almost certainly result in a full-blown jihadist takeover of Syria." Alex continues in another article. "Senator Rand Paul, among America's most prominent lawmakers, has taken what may be the most sensible approach to the issue, demanding to see the evidence. Speaking of Assad, Paul said, he's either the dumbest dictator in the world, or it may be more confusing. Speaking of the Laura Ingraham show, the senator noted the obvious. It would not make sense for Assad to use such weapons when he was winning the war, had strong Russian support, and had already learned that the Trump administration was abandoning the Obama administration's failed regime change scheming. I would like to see the evidence," Paul added, saying he did not dispute it, but would like to see it. Well, wouldn't we all like to see the evidence? Especially since our Syrian attack has the potential to place us squarely on the path to direct confrontation with Russia. Are we willing to go down that path? And isn't this the same intelligence community that recently repeatedly lied under oath to Congress? These are the same folks that told us that Assad was using sarin gas in 2013. So getting rid of Assad will only mean a different Islamic regime will replace him, and certain sects of the Muslim world will become allies of Russia if they are not already, because we interfered. These wars are between different sects of Muslims. So far, we have taken the side of rebels that have turned into a worse problem, such as ISIS. The globalists are definitely using us as suckers. And Alex sums it up best when he writes, "To the horror of some of Trump's most loyal and important supporters, many of the same establishment globalist institutions, such as the Council on Foreign Relations that dominated Obama's warmongering administration, have burrowed their way into Trump's administration too. And that is despite Trump's oft-repeated promise to fight against globalism, the warmongering establishment, and other evils. The Trump administration should present whatever evidence it has about the source of the latest attack to Congress and the public. That way, Americans and their representatives can judge the facts for themselves instead of relying on warmongering deep state bureaucrats and their discredited propagandists in the establishment media." And he signs off in another article, "Of course, regardless of what neocons Trump and Clinton," Hillary Clinton was behind all of this as well, or was in support of this, I should say, "the U.S. Constitution very clearly grants Congress, and only Congress, the power to declare war. Launching missiles at another country is an act of war. This means, even leaving the wisdom of it aside, Trump's military intervention is unconstitutional and illegal by definition. Separately, there is a very strong possibility that this sarin gas attack was a false flag operation, just as the last one was shown to be. Few credible analysts outside the warmongering establishment in Washington, D.C. believe Assad would be dumb enough to risk it all by using chemical weapons, especially when he was already reportedly on the verge of crushing the globalist-backed jihadist rebels waging war on his regime. And yet, given this evidence, there are some in the media that consider the possibility of a false flag to be conspiracy trash. So, in light of what is and what is not the truth, where does fake news fall into this? After all, the mainstream media fell hook, line, and sinker with the improbable propaganda that Assad did this. Yet, when shining the light of the truth, who will be the one that is overshadowed with the label of fake news and conspiracy trash? We highly encourage you to subscribe to The New American, the liberty movement's beacon of truth that cuts through the fog of propaganda. We believe in it so much that every dues-paying member of the John Birch Society gets a subscription to this magazine. Either join or purchase a subscription today. Visit jbs.org for more information. And be sure to like and share this video with family and friends. Sign up for our e-newsletters and subscribe to our social media channels. Until next time, we'll see you then.